affect the pricing of rents across locations? If I build a house today and I want to rent it out, how do I where to set the cost?
Okay. What I think, this is not law now, but what I think is, buildings are different. Sometimes it could be the standard of the house. The standard of the house of Mr. A might not be the standard of the house of Mr. B.
Okay.
But what prevailing factor of the determinant for the pricing on rentage is the locality, that is the area where the house is or where the house is situated.
All right.
You can't, let me use Lagos for example. You can't expect the same pricing for a house in Victoria and a house in Aja, even though they are both two-bedroom flats. So one factor is the locality, that's the area. Second factor is the standard of the house.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's come to law, which is your forte. Are sudden rent jumps, in many cases over 100% increase, enforceable under current tenancy laws?
Rent jump and increment of rent is enforceable.
Yes.
There are factors to everything. There's a process to everything. So when the procedure or the process is not followed, it makes it habitual or unreasonable, and the court serves as such. Right? So if you permit me, I would like to delve into the procedure, like the process.
Yes, please.
For example, if a landlord wants to increase rent, there are processes to be followed.
Okay.
You can't just wake up from slumber or sleep and say, today I want to increase. I don't feel like increasing this rent. In fact, this people don't even like the face of my tenant. In fact, this tenant did not greet me for this. I want to increase. No, it's not done like that. First of all, you see, tenancy agreement is vital. Most people don't even take their time to go through their tenancy agreement. So there's very likely that the landlord has stated in that agreement under the rent review clause on the time he'll be wanting to increase the rent.
Okay.
Especially if it's a lease agreement that they're going to stay in the property more than a year. When it is from 3 years and above. So look at your agreement. Get a lawyer. Don't just sign. Get a lawyer to look at the agreement and say this clauses. There are clauses that must be in a tenant agreement, one of which is rent review clause. So your rent review clause, and under the agreement, the landlord would have stated at the session of total time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, I will be increasing the rent from the rate of XYZ to a particular rate.
Okay.
So that's the first step. In a situation whereby maybe the landlord, because most of these tenant agreements are usually 1 year setting, 1 year setting, 1 year setting. Unless you are going into a lease agreement, which is 3 years and above, okay?
Okay.
Now, in a situation whereby that clause was not included in the agreement, that's the rent review clause, the landlord must give sufficient notice to the tenant. So let's say Mr. A and Mr. B are in a contract under a landlord and tenant relationship, and the landlord wants to increase the rent. He writes to Mr. B, his tenant, to inform notice, adequate notice. And adequate, according to law, is that it should be at least 3 months.
3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the minimum that, okay, the landlord almost forgot. The tenant will have at least 3 months notice, saying that your rent is XYZ amount, I'll be increasing to XYZ amount.
Okay.
And according to law, that process is called an offer. The tenant has the right to accept or reject.
Okay.
Should I go on?
Yes. I have a question already, but I don't want you to lose your train of thought.
Move on.
What? Yeah. Please move on. I'll ask when you're done.
Okay. So in that scenario, it is called an offer. The tenant has the right, as I said before, to either accept or to reject.
Okay.
So when in a situation whereby the tenant rejects, they are supposed to negotiate. There's room for negotiation.
Oh.
No, this is really much. I can't do this. I can afford this. And I will say, okay. As well, the law even looks at what are the circumstances that warrant a landlord to increase rent.
Okay.
There's what we call special cases, special circumstances. There's what we call the pricing within that locality. You know, from all these abroad.
Yeah.
And they did the house some time ago. And they can expect to be paying 500,000 or just that figure is just an example.
Yeah.
I don't think anything like that. You know, you can't expect to pay the same money, the same fee that you have been paying for your rent. For 5 years, it's lived on the property for 3, 4, 5 years, and you don't expect the landlord to increase it. Whereas in that same locality, nobody is giving their house at that rate. So that I told you that there are procedures, not just say white and black jacket. Yes, the landlord has the right to increase rent. However, did the landlord follow the due process according to law? So this is what I'm explaining.
Okay.
So you have been paying a particular rent for a particular long period of time, and other landlords have moved on. I mean, you know that your rent is low.
Yeah.
That your parents and other people on 37 of the tenancy law, what I said, the pricing within the locality, special circumstances, and if there's been any addition to the property. For example, there's no borehole in the compound, and the landlord has done some improvement to make life habitable or to make the place habitable. So it is only reasonable in that circumstance for the landlord to say, okay, I have spent money to make this place more habitable. These are my reasons why I'm increasing the rent. So these are the things that the court will look at when an aggrieved party, in this case a tenant, approaches the court for habitual increase of rent.
Well,
That's another view of the whole scenario.
Yeah, well, you already answered the question I was going to ask. When you said the increment is an offer and the tenant gets to either reject or accept, I was going to ask, how do they reject? So, but you answered that. Yeah. Now, I don't think, because while we understand how the law works, there's also the way it works in Nigeria. I don't think it's in anybody's best interest to take their landlord to court. I also do not think that anybody will be bothered if they pay lower than those in their neighborhood. That's the kind of prayer that most people would want answered. But you started by saying that it's important to pay attention to the tenancy agreement, right?
Yes. Yes.
And in that agreement, it will tell you clearly how frequently or how quickly the next rent increase might be implemented.
Yes.
But if that's the case, that means that the tenant is at the mercy of the landlord. It's at the landlord's discretion. Isn't there a legal timeline? Nobody should ask for increase unless it's 2 or 3 years. Does the law not have a benchmark, a set time? Because some landlords can choose to do it every year. And if the tenant is at the mercy of that kind of landlord, it obviously is not in their favor.
Okay, like I rightly said, I'll say it again. There is no law that says that kind of regulates the time frame within which a landlord can increase his or her rent. However, it cannot be habitual. And one of the factors of arbitrariness is reasonableness. I can't come into a property and 1 year after, without any addition. I've already stated the circumstance. There are 3 circumstances where a landlord may increase rent. I've mentioned it already.
If there's a facelift.
One is there an addition to make the property more habitable? So, what is the pricing of that locality in your area? How much other landlords are giving out their property? Then thirdly, special circumstances. So these are the three guidelines, like watchdog, or now, I don't know what English to use now, that will best portray my explanation.
Yeah.
These are the three conditions that a landlord must observe before increasing the rent.
All
if
right.
you go outside these three conditions, then it is arbitral, and the tenant has the right to take that landlord to court to challenge the increment in rent.
Okay, we have a break coming up in 1 minute. But what court does the tenant go to? Is it the industrial court, magistrate court, high court? Is there a particular court that tends to these kinds of cases?
Yes. It depends on the magistrate court has some limitations because of their jurisdiction. Okay, so when your rent in Lagos State, for example, when your rent is above 10 million, you can't approach the magistrate court to go to the high court. So it depends on the property that you live in.
Okay.
So so if your rent is like 1 million, 1.5, you go to the magistrate court. But there are lots of rents, like some commercial building and all that, then you go to the high court. It depends on the jurisdiction, because each court has jurisdiction, and that's money is one of the things that determines the jurisdiction of the court.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Barrister Raphela, we'll take a quick commercial break. After that, we talk about price control and regulation. Should the government come in? Please stay with us.
All right.
Chinedu, and here are the headlines. Local government workers in River State suspend warning strike after Governor Fubara's intervention. Rescheduled meeting between Pengasen and Dangote Refinery ongoing at National Security Advisor's office. Conflict resolution expert calls for dialogue between Governor Fubara and FCT ministers' camps. President Tinubu orders probe into death of broadcast journalist Somtochukwu Maduagu. On the foreign scene, President Trump gives Hamas peace plan deadline as Israel opposes Palestinian statehood. Details in the 6 p.m. bulletin. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Hard Facts.
This is Hard Facts.
Welcome back. It's still Hard Facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Chinedu here. Our conversation is on housing. Nigeria's rent crisis deepened as it seems that at this point in major parts of the country, the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment is in the corridors of 2 million naira. My guest is Barrister Raphela Akeno. She's a managing partner with Prince Joel and Associates. She is a real estate lawyer. Hello?
Hello.
All right.
Sam.
Thanks for staying with us.
You're welcome.
Okay. So what would be my concluding question? At this time, do we have price control or regulations by the government or by law? And if we don't, should there be that in the housing market?
Okay. How will there is no price control law. However, there is rent control in Lagos State. But in River State, I'm aware that there's a law that intends to regulate real estate transactions.
Okay.
For now, it's a bill and it's at first second reading.
Okay.
So it's not a law yet.
Mm.
You are going to make that real estate transaction is quite ambiguous.
Indeed.
It doesn't only cover tenancy, it majorly covers land transactions such as acquisition of land grabbing issues, real estate practitioners issues. You know, we have a lot of fraudulent agents and people who call themselves Omodele in Lagos State. I don't know how they call themselves in River State.
Yeah.
So there is a bill which intends, but the lacuna, which you rightly have said, is rent. That has not been put into perspective yet. I will not conclude because since it's still a bill, I don't know the extent of that real estate regulatory authority or law. So when it's the law, we check the law and see its extent or the extent of its powers.
Mm.
Okay? But in real estate, the rent control law, in Delta State, they have property, public and private property law, which I like, 2018, which I love because they kind of zone the state, which I think the River State should enforce if they can. They zone the state from zone A to zone E. So, for example, zone A is the bourgeois area. So when you're coming there, this is the amount of rent that to the table in this zone.
Yeah.
Zone B with other areas, zone C, like that.
Oh my. Okay.
So, it's more and control in River State.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yes.
I get the point you made, even though I couldn't hear some part thanks to network disruptions. But the zoning you speak about is very similar to what we have with electricity, band A, band B.
Exactly.
And people pay according to supply.
Yes.
Okay.
So the
Well,
zoning is location. The zone A is for the bourgeois, where the industrial area,
yeah.
the clean areas, So when you're going there to rent a house, you should know the government says this is the amount that the landlord may not exceed.
Mm.
So, but right now in River State, I don't know of any rent control law yet.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully the government takes the initiative and there's a system that works for everyone's interest. Thank you very much, Barrister Raphela, for making the time. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Have a beautiful day.
Yes, sir. Bye. Bye for now.
All right. Well, that is a lawyer telling us what exists in the housing space when it comes to the law. I have a few minutes on the clock, so you and I can and should engage. Should the government introduce rent control laws? She says that it works in some parts and we might have to. If we were to do what she said, I think she said public and private property law, and say, hey, there will be regulation of rent based on the part of the city that you live in. Of course, we know that the GRAs of this world will be way up there. Where do you think your neighborhood will be placed? Will it be band C or D or F or go down a bit, H, I, J, K? Should there be price control in the housing market? When was the last time that you had a price increment? When last did your landlord increase your rent? And by what percentage, what ratio? Was it 100% increase? Were you paying 100,000 and then landlord said you have to pay 200? Was it a 50% increase? I'd like to hear your story. 0817-923-0002 as we also talk regulations. In connection to the ongoing rent of a two-bedroom apartment at 2.5 million, the cost of building materials, land, labor rates, statutory ground rent, property rates, and associated costs involved with the maintenance of residential buildings are extremely expensive and beneath the reach of the common man. The government needs to embark on housing schemes for its citizenry. Donald from Igruta. I agree. I mean, when I was younger, in a few cities I lived in, there were low-cost housing. There were housing projects, They were all identical houses in one part of the city, and the people didn't really pay much. But there were a class of people who were made to live there. I remember some kid who used to come to our school. I used to live in low-cost. That's what they called that place. I didn't even know that low-cost was short for low-cost housing. Ezeken calls from Ubimini. Hello, Ezeken. Good evening.
Good evening once more.
Good evening. Good evening.
SOC, if you ask me,
I did ask you.
I think if government should intervene in the affairs of housing because of the masses and the less privileged, I would say that let there be a decade, how will I put it, a decade sanction or deadline, according to a question or landmark. After 10 years, every landlord can do what he or she can do. Because this every year increment, claiming of costly materials, Mr. SOC, go to Dio, you see ancient building, and they are collecting current figures of some in the name of being landlord or landlady.
What are the current figures?
Though I am in my community. So if I may talk about the rural areas, I think I would advise people in urban areas to come over to rural areas and also give a kind of development, because the urban areas have been congested and compacted.
Okay.
So let some of them come to rural areas and then get some of the building cheap.
So
thank you very much.
Hold on, Ezeken. So you know where I work, right?
Yes.
Good. If I were to take your advice and come and live in Ubimini where you stay, and I were to come from there to work, at least you know where my office is located every day.
Mr. SOC, you talked about two-bedroom flats at the rate of 2.5, right? press your calculator, Mr. SOC,
Okay.
and come to Ugu here and reside.
Okay.
Some of some of our indigenous or some of my people are running to and fro down to Port Harcourt and come back every day for their work.
No, I'm not. I'm not arguing, right? But I'm saying, let's imagine that I want to take your advice, right? How much is rent there for a 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom?
It's not up to 500,000 naira.
It's not up to 500,000.
Yes, we are talking about rural areas, and we need tenants.
But I will need some things now. You know, it's not. I will also need street light. I will need. You know, you get us.
We have 247 power supply.
Okay.
As I'm talking to you now, I don't buy batteries again since 3 years ago.
Okay.
When they return our light.
So you have constant power supply. You have good roads. You have.
For you to that we have power supply.
And my rent is.
Don't have internal road.
Ezekiel, wait. My rent is 500,000 naira, right? Annually.
Not up to. Not up to.
Okay, I'll need somebody else who lives in that community to confirm what he says. Ezekiel, thank you very much. Let's see if I will move there. Walter from Rupoku. Hello, Walter.
You know, some of us who don't have credit to call, the little one will have to use it.
Walter, I was speaking to someone before you. I wasn't going to cut the conversation shorter, right? So, please.
Okay, you see, I'm in support of government coming to regulate that would housing, whatever.
Okay.
Like my place here, Rupoku, depending on the type of view.
Oh, my goodness. Walter, I apologize. You actually did not have credit. I didn't mean to keep you, right? I just needed to ask Ezekiel some questions. I'm very sorry. I feel like that's my fault. Please, if you can call back, because I really want to have the conversation with you. Walter, I'm so sorry. Okay, so Ezekiel says that Ubimini 2-bedroom flat is 500K and below. I don't know the distance from there to here. So let's imagine that I crazily just say, you know what, let me just go and live there because rent is cheap. Please, Ubimini to my office. The Rumosi axis after the Obrikwe flyover. How far is it? You know, just Ubimini to Port Harcourt. Once you're in PH, you're already around. How what's the distance and the time? Would it take me an hour? Was it 2 hours? So I'll know when I will leave for work. So my show starts at 3. Will I need to leave by 10:30 in the morning? Right? Let's factor those in. But please, if you live there, I'd like you to tell me if he was telling the truth connected to the rent. I think it's high time the state government does something about this house rent thing in the state. Maybe the assembly should come up with laws to regulate rents because this whole thing is getting out of hand. Landlords should not increase rent more than 5 to 10% on any house that has stayed for more than 10 years. And for there to be increment, you already have the bill. The landlord should add value to the building. Certain conditions should also be given to new buildings when hyping rent. I think in Lagos State there's a law with regards to this. Maybe you can copy from Lagos because the rent increase is becoming unbearable in Port Harcourt. House owners are very inconsiderate. Hector says. Promise from Rumodumaya. Hello, Promise.
Yes, good evening, my brother, Sam.
Good evening.
Okay, this house issue, my brother, is becoming too alarming. And to me, I'm not in full support of it.
Okay.
The way our landlords, the way they increase their rent, not fair. They should also understand that people are passing through a lot. I am a landlord myself.
Aha.
There was a time, I overheard you saying that you've always been hearing of increment in rentage.
Yes, so
not heard of the decrease. But me, I have done it as a landlord.
Promise, are you sure? Yes. Promise.
100% sure, my brother.
You reduce rent. You reduce rent.
Yes, I did it. There was a time they were collecting self-contained 170 naira here in my community here.
Okay.
And someone ran to me and explained one or two things to me. The wife just gave birth and everything, and the landlord where he was staying increased the rent and wanted him to just leave immediately. And the urgency of it, I saw it and I saw how delicate it was.
Okay.
I collected 120 from him.
Okay. From that person.
Yes, from that person.
Okay.
And up to date, he has never forgotten it. He has always been thanking me. Even when he left my compound and back to somewhere else, he has been appreciating me up to date. So there are some certain times you see some tenants come to you. Just look at their predicament, their present condition. You don't say, because the other landlords are doing this, you should do the same. No,
okay.
I'm not in support of that, because we are all passing through the same thing.
Okay.
The Nigeria we are, it's not fair to everybody.
I promise. Thank you very much for doing that. I mean, we appreciate you. You're considerate. What is the average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment in your neighborhood?
My brother, currently now, in a standard 2-bedroom, they are collecting over 1.5, 1.67 million.
Okay, thank you very much. When somebody say a standard, in Nigeria, we know what a standard 2-bedroom is. That means it's inside compound, there's gate. They very likely have borehole. Toilet is working. Because anything below that standard, people are living there, but we understand. Small POP feed. Hello?
Yeah, that one you go for. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Government cannot control the price of building.
Why?
Why? Yes. If you look at building material, if they want to checkmate or control, they have to look at building material.
Okay.
And if it is uniformly wrought, cement, sand, when it is uniform, you can now tell the landlord that this is what 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and this and that, bungalow. You cannot checkmate it when you don't checkmate the cost of material.
Yeah, but God's power, the price is the same range. If you want to go and buy a phone, right, it's the same range. The next shop might just be 5,000 naira more expensive. It's not, the difference is not that wide.
What I am saying, you cannot come to regulate landlords on the price. When you have not regulated the material, I know they're buying at the same rate. Or they will make it with the market cement is this one. Let it be flat within Robocon. I'm calling from ATS. ATS, you just make it like that. It can walk anywhere. That people live in this area, so they can choose where to live. A standard bedroom in our area here is about 150 or 120, you know.
For what?
There's light, yeah.
150 for what, please?
2-bedroom flat.
2-bedroom flat, 150K.
Self-contained.
Okay, self-contained.
Yes.
How much is 2-bedroom flat?
I'm telling you what I know. Let me know. I mean, self-contained here for now.
Okay. Thank you.
So if they checkmate it, this one, so people can queue in. If you do that, they should prosecute that person. Not just saying, no, that's the problem we have.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gaspar. So will I go and live in Eche? No. For Eche, no, I know where Eche is. For now, I don't want to be coming from there to work. Daniel from Transamadi.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Dan. How you doing?
I'm okay. Are you?
I'm wonderful.
For me, I think I'm not going to be in support of 100% increment in the house rent. But at the same time, if you want to regulate the price of house rent, we have to solve the foundational problem. Which is the cost of the building materials in the market.
Okay.
10 bags of cement under past administration here is 38,000. 10 bags of cement just 2 years plus now is 105,000. Look at the percentage.
Yeah.
It's more than 100% increment.
True.
So these are the challenges. Because one thing is for government is that I want to make law in terms of regulating the landlord. Is the landlord buying the building materials cheap? Let me even assume that you want to do the maintenance. Are you going to buy the building materials cheap? For example, you collect 2.5 million to the maintenance. Let's say 1 year rent. You guys use 2.5 million to the maintenance. What is the logic? I think for me, this situation of the to see how government within the cost of material habit. Not only they have things to goes down. But at the same time, my woman facing whatever we're doing.
All right, Daniel, thank you for calling. At some point, I couldn't hear you, but yes, I get the point you made. There has to be a regulation from the market where the materials are bought before you regulate the house rent. I'll take messages because I have a few of them here. I think it's high time the state government does something about this house rent thing. Maybe the assembly have taken that. Good evening. The issue of house rent in many parts of Port Harcourt called for urgent concerns. The landlord, without doing anything on the property, increases rent to 250%. My goodness. The next thing he will say, if you cannot pay, let something be done concerning rent. If you cannot pay, you pack. Victor from Port Harcourt. Thank you, Victor. Good evening, Nigerian Info. The government can only regulate rent if the cost of building materials are subsidized. My rent got increased by 100%. Thank you, Daniel. You should have told us what part of the city you're calling from. My 2-bedroom flat in Omoko is 300,000 naira per annum. Are you sure we will not enter some of these local 300k 2-bedroom flat? Ha! My goodness. Well, I've already paid my next rent. If I think it seems people will keep house for me. I'm coming over the way this thing is looking. Hi, Sam. In Lagos, there are federal estates and others built by the state government. Example, Jakande, all over Lagos. River State should build housing estates even in rural areas. Eregoba. Yes, the government does need to get involved in housing. Oracle, we are landlord in Lagos, PH, and Abia State, and our rents are very, very affordable. We refuse to increase rent. So I agree and I urge government to regulate house rent. It's alarming how inherited and selfish landlords will not renovate your roof, only collecting rent without doing anything. What did the law say about those landlords? My guest touched on it a bit. Let's hurry. I'd like to take all the messages. Good evening, SH from effects. Landlords can still be their way of helping out. It's not actually easy to build a house now, but thank God you have one as a landlord. Finally, on the house rents, I wish the government will intervene to regulate rents, but again, our effects affecting everything: cement, rod, tile, roofing, tiles, etc. Army for Ernest says. All right, that's as much as we can take on this. First of all, I think we need to work harder to make more money. Whether government regulate or they don't, you kind of need the money so you can afford rent anywhere. Secondly, yes, the government does need to get involved. There should be housing plans by government to create affordable housing. And there should be some kind of regulation. If you start regulating from building material, no problem, just start. I know I'm speaking now because I'm a tenant, right? So I know where it's affecting me. Tomorrow when I become a landlord, we can now find a way to see what to do about those regulations. But for now, let's make it work for us. Stay with us.